Hello family, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing great. In today's video I'm going to share with you how to make soft and fluffy homemade white bread on your stovetop. Step-by-step tutorial for beginners using all-purpose wheat flour. Let's get straight to the video. Inside my measuring jug I have 120 ml of warm milk. I'm just going to go ahead and transfer it to my silver bowl right there. And then to it, I'm going to add my yeast. You have to use yeast to make your bread. I'm going to add half a tablespoon of my yeast. That is just 1 teaspoon of yeast. And then I'm going to go ahead and add my sugar. I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of sugar. You can adjust your sugar depending on the sweetness that you want. I'm also going to add 3/4 tablespoon of salt, and then I'm going to mix that well with my whisk as shown in the video. You can use a spoon for that or a spatula to mix that well. I'm going to set that aside, and then moving on, in my bowl right here I have 2 cups of all-purpose wheat flour. I'm just going to be using my sieve right there to shift my flour. Since I'm using all-purpose wheat flour and not bread flour, I'm just going to go ahead and shift my flour. Half of my flour first as shown in the video. You have to take your time if you're using all-purpose wheat flour and not bread flour. Just take your time and shift your flour bit by bit with your sieve, and you have to do this, you guys. It's a must if you're using all-purpose wheat flour, like I've said before. I'm now done shifting the first half of my flour. I'm now just going to go ahead and mix that to create a little bit more space for me to shift the rest of my flour. And for the mixing, I'm using my spoon. I'm using a stronger spoon that I have in my kitchen to mix that well, and then I'm going to go ahead and shift the rest of my flour. I'm sorry about that, the rest of my flour as shown in the video. And like I've said before, this is not optional, it's a must. You have to shift your flour if you are using all-purpose wheat flour like me. If you're using bread flour, you can do it if you like. Yeah. After a little while, I'm now done shifting my flour, and here I am. I forgot to add my egg to my milk mixture, so I'm just going to be breaking my egg right now, and then I'm going to beat my egg as shown in the video, and then I'm going to add it to my flour mixture. Before mixing it for the second time, I'm just going to be adding my egg to my flour mixture right there as shown in the video, and then I'm going to go in with my spoon and mix again. So I should have added the egg after I added my salt, and then I should have mixed well after that. So I forgot to add my egg, and now I added it later right now. So if you're following this recipe, just add your egg to your milk mixture. And then after that, I'm just going to mix that thoroughly as shown in the video, and then I'm going to go ahead and go in with my hand, and then I'm going to start kneading my dough. So for bread, you don't have an excuse, you have to knead your dough, it's a must. So I'm just going to knead my dough well as shown in the video, and you're going to find out that your dough is a little stiff, but don't worry about that. I'm now just going to go ahead and add 3 tablespoons of my margarine. You can use butter if you have butter at home. If you don't have butter, just use margarine. And then I'm just going to go ahead and knead this thoroughly as shown in the video. So for this part, it's a little messy after you've added your margarine, so that's why I speeded that up, but you have to knead that well too. Yeah, and then I'm going to go ahead and lightly dust my board right there, and then I'm just going to go ahead and knead my dough thoroughly. We want to knead this dough and make sure it's stretchy. Yeah, so kneading your dough is going to take you 15 to 20 minutes from the beginning when we started kneading. Yeah, when we ditched our spoon and then started kneading this dough. So you have to knead your dough thoroughly like I've said before, and right now I'm just going in with my fist and kneading this dough as I stretch it. We want this dough to be stretchy. Yeah, that's why I'm taking my time to knead my dough thoroughly. I'm kneading it and stretching it at the same time. You have to do that, you guys, and after some time, it's now like 20 minutes, and this dough is super stretchy like you can see, and that's what we want. I'm not just going to make a nice circular shape as shown in the video. And then I'm just going to rest my dough for an hour. You have to let your dough rest, and you have to let it rest so it doubles its size. I'm just going to add my dough in my silver bowl right there, and then I'm going to grab my polythene and cover my dough well as shown in the video, and then I'm going to go on top of it with a lid or a plate as shown in the video, and then I'm going to set this aside and rest it for an hour. You have to rest your dough for an hour. And then moving on, after an hour, here I am again. I'm going to be checking on my dough. I'm going to rub a little bit of oil on my hand right there, and then I'm going to go ahead and cover my dough as shown in the video, and like you can see right now, our dough is double the size. That's why we had to stretch our dough and knead it thoroughly and rest it for an hour. And here I am again. I'm just going to remove my dough from my bowl, and then I'm going to transfer it to my board. I'm going to rub a little bit of oil on my board, and then I'm going to add my dough to my board, and then all I'm going to do is to use my hand to roll out my dough as shown in the video. And as you can see, I'm not using a rolling pin. I'm just rolling my dough out with my hand as shown in the video. And then I'm just going to make marks on my dough right there. I'm going to make 10 equal marks, and then I'm just going to go ahead and cut my dough into equal pieces as shown in the video. And this is how my dough looks after making the marks. I'm now just going to go ahead and use my knife right there to cut my dough as shown in the video into those tiny equal pieces. Moving on, I'm now just going to be making my tiny balls as shown in the video. To each piece, I'm going to turn each piece of my dough into a tiny ball right there. So if you like, you can make those triangular cute shapes for your bread, but for me, since I'm going to be baking this on a stove top, I'm just going to make the circular shapes. Yeah, so it's easy for me to add them to my pan or mold. Yeah, so I can bake them easily. And like you can see right there, I'm just working on my tiny balls as shown in the video. So I'll leave it to watch me for just a little bit, and I'll be right back. After a few minutes, I'm now done with my balls. I'm just going to set them aside, and then moving on, I'm just going to apply some of my margarine to my pan right there. You can use a mold or any other thing that you have at home as your mold, provided it's a little heavy. And then I'm just going to go ahead and add my balls as shown in the video. I'm going to be adding my balls a little closer to each other to give them the power to rise. Here we have to give the balls the power to rise. And then I'm just going to go ahead and beat an egg. I'm going to be doing an egg wash. This part of the video is actually optional. You can do your egg wash after proofing your dough, but for me, I'm just going to beat my egg as shown in the video, and then I'm going to do my first egg wash. And I'm just using my spoon right there to do my egg wash. You can use those tiny cute brushes to do your egg wash if you have one at home. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cover my balls with my polythene right there, and then I'm going to go ahead and cover them with a clean kitchen towel again. And then we are going to proof these balls for at least an hour. So you can do this for 1.5 hours depending on the temperature of where you live. Yeah. And then I'm just going to go ahead and uncover my dough after an hour, and like you can see, our dough or our balls have really risen up, and that's what we wanted. I proofed my dough for 1.5 hours like I've said before. And here we go again. I'm just going to be doing my second egg wash. And when you're doing your egg wash, you're just going to be brushing your egg lightly so you don't ruin your balls. And then moving on, I'm just going to fire up my stove right there. And then I'm going to add my heavy pan and preheat my pan for at least 7 minutes. You have to use a heavy pan or your old pan that you don't use anymore. You cannot use non-stick pan for this part of the video. It will ruin your pan. I'm going to preheat my pan for 7 minutes, and then I'm just going to add my mold after 7 minutes, and then I'm going to bake my bread, the first side of my bread, for 15 minutes. I'm now just going to flip my bread, and then I'm going to add it back to my mold, and then I'm just going to bake the second side of my bread for 5 minutes. So to bake this bread on your stovetop, it's going to take you 20 minutes exactly, or 25 minutes. And when baking your bread, you have to make sure that your stove is on low heat. Your heat has to be low, and like you can see, I removed my bread from my stove and then I left it to cool overnight. And the next day, here I am checking on my bread and it looks pretty good. So you have to let your bread cool. Don't be in a hurry and ruin your bread. And then I'm just going to go ahead and apply my butter. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of butter into my silver bowl, and then I'm going to go ahead and pop it in my microwave for a few minutes to melt it. And then I'm just going to use my spoon to apply it to my bread. So you guys, I'm sorry about the part of the video when I'm flipping my bread and removing it from my stove. The video just went frozen until the end of it, so I just had to edit the video how it was, the part that is not frozen. And like you can see right now, this is how my bread turned out. It's super fluffy and soft, and it's no failed recipe. And for the fact that I baked this with all-purpose wheat flour and not bread flour, it's just so magical. And my bread is super squishy right there, as you can see. So follow just the simple steps that I've explained in the video to make your bread. After watching this video, you don't have to buy your white bread all the time. You can bake your bread on just your stovetop at home. It's simple and easy to make. I hope you like this video. Thank you so much for watching, and kindly subscribe to my channel and turn on your notifications bell. See you in my next video. Bye.